Welcome to Bluebird Stories, a new way to enjoy anime and manga. Let's begin our tale. In a seemingly peaceful world, shadows lurk in the dark. Unknown to humanity, powerful beings known as curses threaten their very livelihood. But there are those who stand in opposition to these evil beings and protect humanity. These heroes are known as Jujutsu Sorcerers. Yuji Itadori was a normal high school boy with abnormal athletic abilities, until one day, in an attempt to save his friends from a powerful curse, he ate one of the 20 fingers of the legendary King of Curses, Ryomen Sukuna. In the events that followed, Yuji was saved by his new sensei, the strongest jujutsu sorcerer of the modern age, Satoru Gojo. But he was told he now must consume all 20 of Sukuna's fingers and be killed in order to vanquish Sukuna forever. Yuji met his fellow classmates, Megumi Fushiguro and Nobara Kugisaki, and trained to become a jujutsu sorcerer, until one day, on a mission, he was killed.
Fushiguro もKugisakiも五条先生は心配いらねえか。長生きしろよ。
His friends were distraught and sought to get stronger by training with their fellow upperclassmen Maki Zenin, Panda, and Toge Inumaki. However, little did they know. The King of Curses formed a pact with Yuji, allowing Ryomen Sukuna to take control of their shared body for 1 minute whenever he says a keyword. But Sukuna promised not to kill anyone during that period of time on the condition that Yuji forget about the binding vow he made with him. As a result, Yuji was revived by Sukuna's powers, but was forced to train in secret with a sorcerer named Nanami. The two tracked down a lead on the special-grade cursed spirit Mahito, who meanwhile was manipulating a young boy named Junpei. Yuji befriended Junpei on their mission, but Mahito poisoned his mind with thoughts of hate toward humanity, turning Junpei against Yuji. In the end, Mahito transfigured Junpei into a cursed spirit in front of Yuji's very eyes, lighting a fire within Yuji to end Mahito forever.
今まで俺の口から出た言葉は全て嘘だったんじゃないかと思えるくらい腹の底から出た本音。
Nanami returned to assist Yuji, but nearly met his doom as Mahito discovered a new ultimate move, domain expansion. But thanks to Yuji, Nanami was saved as Mahito squirmed away. After successfully stopping a special-grade cursed spirit, Satoru Gojo decided it was time to reveal Yuji back into the world. He surprised his classmates and sister school Kyoto students on the day of their annual exchange event. Their reactions were, well, not quite what he expected, but they welcomed him back nonetheless. However, special-grade curses, Mahito, Jogo, and Hanami, along with Satoru Gojo's best friend-turned-enemy, special-grade sorcerer Suguru Geto, had plotted to crash the exchange event, and so they did.
人間のいない時間死して賢者となりなさい
With this unknown to the students, they battled their enemies, and Yuji, along with his new brother, Grade 1 sorcerer Aoi Todo, fought the special-grade cursed spirit Hanami. But Satoru Gojo handled the situation on multiple fronts to re-secure Jujutsu High to safety. As the Jujutsu world settled in a brief period of peace, the students' growth in the past few months did not go unnoticed, as Grade 1 sorcerers Todo and Mei Mei recommended Panda, Maki, Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji to be promoted to Grade 1 sorcerers. But elsewhere, Suguru Geto and the special-grade cursed spirits plot to throw the Jujutsu world into chaos. They plan to seal Satoru Gojo on October 31st in Shibuya.
地獄のいいところ愛をばらまいて I love you けなしてくれ全部奪って笑ってくれ My honey Don't look me like beautiful star Don't look me like beautiful star Don't look me like beautiful star なんか忘れちゃってんだ
On October 19th, Satoru Gojo's longtime friend, Utahime Lori, waits in the pouring rain when she remembers an earlier conversation she had with Gojo, one where a jujutsu sorcerer may be working with cursed spirits.
呪詛師ならまだしも呪霊と
京都側の調査を歌姫に頼みたい。
Utahime returns to her senses and is greeted by those she was waiting for, Yuji Itadori, Megumi Fushiguro, and Nobara Kugisaki. She informs them that there are 2 or more people who are betraying the Jujutsu world, and they are from Kyoto High. One is a higher-up official, and the other is a student who is passing information to that official. Today, they are going after the student.
内通者は
すまん、ミワ。少し寝る。
Utahime takes the 3 to find Mekamaru's real body, while his puppet attends school on his behalf. Mekamaru's puppet manipulation technique has a vast range that can cover the entirety of Japan, giving him access to carry out secret missions freely. However, Mekamaru is a step ahead of them.
やられたわね。
でも逆に。
これでメカ丸で確定かしら。
Elsewhere, in Mekamaru's true location, Mahito, the special-grade cursed spirit, is keen to eliminate Mekamaru. But Geto reminds him that they made a pact to use Mahito's idol transfiguration to fix Mekamaru's rotting body in exchange for classified information, and pact should not be broken. However, he doesn't hesitate to suggest they kill him after they have fulfilled the terms of the pact. Mekamaru's sharp tongue almost changes Mahito's mind, but Geto is quick to remind him of the unknown consequences of a broken pact. So, Mahito gets to work.
無意天変。
Now that Mahito has fulfilled the terms of their pact, the 2 are no longer required to see eye to eye, though the special grade curse wishes he would at least thank him.
それはことが済んだ後だろ。それもそうだね。じゃあ、始めようか。
Mekamaru sends a fleet of puppets to attack Mahito. However, when he finishes cleaning up the weaklings,
逃げたか。今は狩りじゃなくて勝負がしたいんだよね。
Mekamaru has spent the last few years preparing a secret weapon, waiting for this very moment to unleash it. A giant puppet known as the Ultimate Mekamaru, with its seat of soul occupied by Mekamaru. The sorcerer is outnumbered, but he has 17 years of cursed energy stored in his weapon, and a plan.
どんな手段でもいい。五条悟と連絡を取り、渋谷の計画を伝える。そして保護してもらう。
So he must succeed. With a limited amount of cursed time and his precious one in his thoughts, Mekamaru gives it his all and fires 1 year of cursed energy at Mahito from point-blank range. However, Mahito's cursed soul is barely scratched, and his manic personality makes it difficult to land an attack on him. He tries one more time to burn Mahito's cursed soul using an ultra cannon, only to find him manically laughing and running unharmed from the attack. After spending 2 more years of cursed energy, Mekamaru still hasn't even managed to graze Mahito's hair. With only 4 shots left, Mechamaru tricks Mahito into thinking he is a one-trick pony and loads 2 years of cursed energy into a compact bullet. And he takes his chance. Mahito is flabbergasted that Mechamaru was able to destroy his soul. But to avoid displaying it, he shapeshifts into a bird and makes it appear that his arm has regenerated. But Mechamaru catches on to the bluff. All the while, Geto, who is a mere spectator, is impressed by Mechamaru's special grade cursed energy. With the will of iron, Mechamaru is ready to finish Mahito and exorcise him for good, when suddenly Mahito unleashes his terrifying power.
領域展開自閉言動化
Mahito has trapped Mechamaru in his domain and steals his remaining years. He walks away to recover and prepare for the big event on Halloween night, leaving Mechamaru on death's doorstep. In those quiet moments, as Mechamaru's weapon starts shutting down, he is reminded of Sadatsuna Ashiya, who created a special weapon to protect his disciples, a means for them to protect themselves from others' domains.
弱者の領域新影流簡易領域
A simple domain is enough to neutralize all other techniques, and Mechamaru uses it to finish off Mahito. With one enemy down, Mechamaru is hopeful again, and with 9 years of cursed energy left, he turns to Geto. But his dream shatters. With only 1 shot left, Mechamaru summons his puppet and attacks Mahito with all his might. All the while at school, Miwa sits beside a sleeping Mechamaru puppet. She hopes to continue their relationship and get closer to him, unaware of what has transpired between Mechamaru and Mahito.
少し危なかったんじゃない？術が発動するタイミングに合わせて自ら弾けた。
The two are glad they were able to witness the use of a simple domain for the main event, but Geto is glad that he was able to finish adjusting a special type of veil, one where they won't have to worry about entrusting the cursed energy and chant to others. On October 31st, a roughly 400-meter-wide veil was lowered over Shibuya in Tokyo, trapping ordinary civilians inside. That day, civilians had gathered outside to cosplay and enjoy the magical fantasies of Halloween night, when only a chosen few saw a shadow surrounding them.
何あれ
何って
あれだよあれいやあれだってあんた目大丈夫
With sorcerers and assistant supervisors able to come and go through this veil, Team Nanami, including Kento Nanami, Takuma Ino, and Megumi Fushiguro, spring into action. Meanwhile, at Shibuya Mark City, Team Zenin, including Naobito Zenin, Maki Zenin, and Nobara Kugisaki, investigate why normal civilians are calling out for Satoru Gojo while trying to escape the veil. With Satoru Gojo sent in alone to restore order in Shibuya, at JR Shibuya Station, Team Kusakabe, including Panda and Atsuya Kusakabe, along with the other 3 teams, are at a vigil to catch any of Gojo's rebounds. Kusakabe isn't very concerned about the people inside, as he peeked inside the veil and didn't find any cursed spirits causing problems, leading the teams to simply scout and wait outside, with the assistant supervisors constantly updating them.
早く五条悟を連れてこい。
It is 8:31 p.m. when Satoru Gojo arrives and assesses the situation. But the strongest sorcerer in modern-day history realizes how dire the situation is. There is yet another veil centered underneath, trapping non-sorcerers. He has an idea of what is about to transpire and prepares to handle it accordingly.
五条先生一人にやらせる？理屈はわかるけどさ、俺たちにもできることがあるでしょう。
だからそれをしに今から渋谷に行くんだよ。
あ、そうなの？
Team Meimei, including Meimei, Wiwi and Yuji, seem a bit distracted, as Yuji is concerned about his sensei entering Shibuya as a one-man army. Wiwi thinks Yuji is just some ordinary guy, until Meimei vouches for Yuji, the newly pronounced Grade 1 sorcerer. Mimi soon gets a call informing them that another veil, similar to the one over Shibuya, was lowered over Meiji Shrine Station, and they will be heading towards it. Meanwhile, Satoru Gojo reaches Shibuya Station and comes face to face with his adversaries.
来たな。これで負けたら言い訳できないよ。貴様こそ初めての言い訳は考えてきたか。
Mimei and Yuji collect more intel from the assistant supervisor and find there is another veil at one of the stations that is preventing sorcerers from entering. The assistant supervisor suspects the veil is made by a cursed spirit or a curse user who must be outside the veil in order to strengthen it, as 2 assistant supervisors have already been taken out. She also informs them that there are transfigured humans between the barriers. The Grade 1 sorcerer utilizes her curse technique and sends a crow with shared perception to learn if the information about the presence of the transfigured humans is true, but it gets eliminated.
虎杖君、弱い改造人間をたくさん殺すのと強い呪霊を1体払うの、どっちがいい？
She presents Yuji with a map of the station and points to the level where her crow was killed, indicating the presence of a high-level cursed spirit. Yuji readily volunteers to exorcise the cursed spirit, so the others agree and head to the other side to rescue civilians. After making his way down the stairs, Yuji Itadori comes face to face with his first opponent.
継ぎはぎ顔の呪霊が来てるだろう。どこにいる？
The spirit reveals that Mahito is downstairs and he's protecting the veil when Yuji spots a cursed nail and finds it suspicious. He decides to destroy it, but when the Grade 2 cursed spirit rambles about how tasty humans are, Yuji responds accordingly. The grasshopper spirit retaliates, and with his strong jaw and powerful leaps he attacks Yuji. But Yuji refuses to show mercy, dodging and attacking the grasshopper spirit. But the grasshopper has one final trick. He fakes an attack and extends his abdomen to eliminate Yuji. But Yuji dodges the attack and crushes the spirit's organ in a single blow. There was a gap between the two individuals' strength that no trick could overcome, as Yuji Itadori, the Grade 1 sorcerer, ends the life of his first enemy of the night. But Yuji still has one more thing to do. Thanks to Yuji, the veil is lifted and he regroups with his team, though elsewhere.
郊外がやられたか。 腕のいい術師が来てるね。
Meanwhile, Gojo finds himself trapped in the station with a mob of non-sorcerers as Jogo, Choso, and Hanami make their appearance known to him. Jogo remembers Geto telling him that Satoru Gojo can only use his power to the fullest when he's alone, so they plan to completely surround him with non-sorcerers. Jago is determined to seek revenge for the last time they fought, and this time he makes sure to include humans in their fight, use them against Gojo, and make him eliminate them inadvertently.
どんな術師でも彼の前では基本足手まといだからそのさらに下の非術師で周囲を固める
Before Gojo can do anything, Jogo, Choso, and Hanami begin eliminating the humans and come together at Gojo, limiting his curse technique Blue, as Blue cannot be cast without catching non-sorcerers in it. But they underestimate Gojo, and even as they activate domain amplification, a similar domain to simple domain that neutralizes any technique used, Gojo manages to escape, and the two end up nullifying each other's attack. But Jogo is far from giving up and remembers Geto telling him that the only people unaffected by Gojo's domain, Infinite Void, are himself and anyone he touches. So, for him to use this technique in a space where there are many people, he will have to sacrifice many lives.
クアリク部五条悟は領域を展開しない逆に君たちも領域を展開しちゃいけないよ
However, Gojo openly accepts the challenge and removes his blindfold, revealing two ice-cold blue eyes.
最低でも20分は欲しいその後は私と獄門教の出番だ
Satoru Gojo points at Hanami, fully in disbelief that this is their third meeting, yet he still underestimates the strongest sorcerer in existence, so he will kill Hanami first. In a flash, Gojo tears Jogo's limbs before hurling him into the air. Hanami realizes Gojo is done using his limitless technique and is focusing on compact attacks.
こちらは術式を使うまで
But Gojo reaches Hanami in a split second and yanks out Hanami's horns, the special grade's weak spots. He is aware that Hanami cannot use domain amplification and his innate technique simultaneously, as Jogo thanks his stars since he maintained domain amplification to protect himself. But suddenly, a blackout occurs.
いいのかお前が天縁で僕の術式を中和するほど僕はより強く術式を保とうとする
Satoru Gojo is aware that Hanami cannot keep up much longer, so to demonstrate his power to Jogo, the strongest sorcerer alive uses Hanami as an example. In the flashback, while planning to bring Gojo down, Geto schemes to use the prison realm to seal Satoru Gojo. But in order to do so, they will have to keep Satoru within a 4-meter radius for 1 whole minute, leaving Jogo in disbelief. Realizing they have 1 minute left until their plan can come into action, Jogo runs for his life and uses humans as shields. Desperate for help, Jogo calls out to Choso, but Gojo has accepted he cannot save everyone, so he promises to exorcise the cursed spirits in their stead. Meanwhile, Jogo is restless and panics as to why Geto hasn't shown up yet, but Geto is no fool.
五条悟全然余裕じゃんもっとヒリヒリしないと
Suddenly, the screeching of the train catches everyone's attention. A wave of transfigured humans targets the non-sorcerers, and along with them steps out Mahito, who's genuinely surprised to learn that Hanami is dead. He wastes no time and attacks Gojo, but cannot land a hit on him. So he activates his next plan and sends hundreds of people falling from the overhead platform. The cursed spirits aim to compel Gojo to use his infinite void to eliminate them and all of the innocents, knowing that Satoru Gojo cannot bring himself to take innocent lives and would instead let the cursed spirits take the blame, therefore destroying his morals and bringing him on edge so they can seal him. However,
領域展開無料空所
it was a desperate gamble on a domain expansion lasting 0.2 of a second. 0.2 of a second was the limit that Satoru Gojo set purely on instinct. This was the amount of time he deemed non-sorcerers could withstand his infinite void without facing negative consequences, though they would be left unconscious for 2 months after intaking half a year's worth of information in his domain. After releasing his domain, the strongest sorcerer of the Jujutsu Age had massacred all of the roughly 1,000 transfigured humans that had been released on floor B5F, successfully leaving him on edge. Just when things seem to settle down, Geto plays their trump card.
獄門橋開門
Satoru senses the danger of this mysterious object and turns to back away, but suddenly the voice of an old friend stops him.
やあサトル
Memories of Satoru's best friend flash before his eyes. He is frozen in disbelief as his best friend turned enemy, who he believed to be dead by his own hand, is standing before him. However, 1 minute has passed. Gojo has lost, yet he questions Geto about his identity. He refuses to believe the person standing before him is truly Suguru Geto. And just as he suspected, Geto pulls out the thread in his head to reveal a brain with an identity of its own.
脳を入れ替えれば肉体を転々とできるんだ。もちろん肉体に刻まれた術式も使えるよ。
Geto has no intention of releasing Gojo, but Gojo mocks him by reminding him of Yuta Okotsu, the boy who had defeated Geto before Gojo dealt the finishing blow. But Geto hardly thinks Yuta can be compared to Gojo, especially since Yuta had only copied techniques, and his bottomless well of cursed energy was thanks to his now-ended pact with his deceased beloved. Meanwhile, a voice takes Yuji by surprise, making him yank the device off his ear. He's about to crush it in anger, when suddenly the voice reveals itself. But the double agent brings dire news.
五条悟が封印された
And that brings us to the end of Volume 1 of the Shibuya incident. If you enjoyed this video and would like a part 2, please like the video and subscribe to Bluebird Stories, and we'll see you next time.